in the dating pool, it's only full of these type of people. Let's go and talk about it.
I was just patient, never try skating. Fuck niggas hating.
So yeah, I'm gonna run down 5 different personalities or characters that you're gonna run into frequently in the dating game, and then you'll run into a couple of other ones that I'm not gonna mention, like married people, but they still might fit in one of these categories. And at the end of the video, if you feel like I forgot a category or a type of person that you're gonna run into frequently in the dating game, the modern dating game at that, feel free to leave it in the comments. Not gonna waste no time. I'm gonna jump right in on it. And in no order. So it's not, best, or it's not like most popular or most common or nothing like that. Just a little random list I made up. Number 1 is the codependent dater. Okay. So the codependent dater is going to be perceived as someone who's big-hearted, empathetic, kind-hearted, gullible, and maybe even a little bit naive. Okay? So, this type of person's behaviors are going to be neediness, hopelessness, very clingy, desperate, disparaged. They're prone to love bombing you. They attach fast. They have emotional dependency issues, depression, low self-esteem, and low self-worth. Okay, so this is going to be a very common person that's in the dating game. It's somebody who's dealing with a lot of codependencies. They need somebody. They're desperate. They don't want to be alone. They're clingy. All of the hopelessness, all of those things. That's one character that you're going to run into frequently in the dating game, whether it's online, in person, whatever. This is one. Number 2 is the narcissistic dater. Very common. Okay. Now, they're going to be perceived as well put together, high valued, charismatic, heavily sought after, and extremely confident, and maybe even extremely attractive. Now, their behaviors, you'll notice they're users, they're liars without a conscience, financially and emotionally abusive, manipulators, con artists, frauds, and opportunists. They're also prone to mind games, also prone to love bombing as a manipulation tactic to get you hooked. They suffer from entitlement issues, slick talking, very deceiving, self-seeking, cheaters, so like a married person, attention-seeking, untrustworthy, unpredictable, and secretive behavior. Okay, so that's a second character that you're going to see in this modern dating game frequently. Moving along. Third character you're going to see in the modern dating game is the avoidant dater. This person is perceived as peaceful, lone wolves, antisocial probably, drama-free, damaged goods, unhealed, and non-believers in love or non-believers in monogamy. Their behaviors, they quit, they're runners, easily detached, non-committers, evasive, or avoidant, and doesn't like to do titles. They are prone to flings, friends with benefits, situationships, casual dating only, leading people on. They're not trusting. Not that they're not trustworthy, but they might not be trustworthy either, but they're not trusting. They don't trust anybody. And they're runners, like I mentioned. The fourth character you're going to notice that you're going to come across frequently in the modern dating game or pool is the inexperienced dater. Now they're perceived as floaters, easygoing, little or no standards at all, little or no expectations at all, little or no guidance whatsoever, and they're just seeing what's out there. Okay, maybe this person was deprived of, a very sheltered child growing up, lived in a small town. They broke free. Now they're living in the city and they don't have a clue what's out here. So they jump it in head first and they are balls deep in the whole phase. Okay. Let's see what else. Now, their behaviors, they like to go with the flow. Okay. They figure things out as they go, free spirited, no true intentions, carefree of the outcomes. It doesn't really matter what the outcome's going to be, and far from settling down. Okay. So, an inexperienced dater, far from settling down. So, you got to be able to categorize these women when you dating them and say, okay, I see where she at. It's easier for you to make long-term decisions or decisions on who you want to entertain in general when you can gauge where they're at mentally, regardless of what they tell you. I don't listen to nothing the woman says. I pay attention to all her actions, and everything else has to add up. And number 5, you have the secure single person that's out in the dating field. So you got they are perceived as standoffish, high expectations, maybe even a little bit intimidating, extremely experienced. So maybe they're a refined 304 and male or female, but this is, my content is for the men. So maybe she's a very experienced woman, very aged, very, she's been around, high body count type of chick. But I put her in the category as secured single. And the reason why I say that is because she's hard to read and hard to impress. She's unimpressed. But her behaviors can be like she's a pretty self-soothing individual, self-reliant, high self-worth, high standards, can appear to be bossy, low tolerance for BS, a go-getter, Now, she's prone to being single for long periods of time. She is prone to cutting people off easily, small social circle, not having patience, hard to please, not comfortable, conforming. She doesn't conform to social norms. She doesn't have OnlyFans. She's not twerking in all her TikToks while she's cooking. She seeks perfection and she is unforgiving. Okay. So I thought this was interesting because, I couldn't think of anybody else that would be, as far as a woman, that would be in the dating field, in the dating game. Now, like I said, there was going to be some that I didn't mention because, like, a woman who's married, um, she's a cheater. She's cheating on her current husband, and she's out here. But I was thinking more so of people that actually consume majority of the space in the modern dating field. And like I said, it's generally speaking, you're going to have somebody who's a codependent dater, narcissistic dater, avoidant dater, an inexperienced dater, and then a secured single person who's okay with being single. And when you're out there talking to these women, and you got to take it with a grain of salt, to be honest with you, because I hear some of the best stuff being said to me because a person like myself, I focus a lot on vetting a woman. So I ask a lot of questions, and you'll have people that say, oh, I keep conversations to 5 to 10 minutes. That's not going to cut it. Okay. There's no way you can gather information about someone's character in 5 minutes. And some people say, oh, I don't ask all those questions. That's not going to cut it. Because here's the thing, when you asking somebody questions in the vetting stage to get to know what category they potentially fit in, or what you could potentially do with them, or if they're potentially a waste of your time. Yes, when you ask someone a question, they can lie. But here's the thing. Yes, you have intuition. And in most cases, you can tell when something's a little off, and you can tell when somebody's not being 100% transparent. For example, no one is going to be able to predict all of your questions. So if you have questions that you like to ask in the vetting stage and you ask a woman, when you get to that question that she wasn't prepared for, she's going to get stumped. Now, just because she got stumped, it doesn't mean that she's lying. She could just never heard that question before, or she could actually have never thought about that question. One question I like to ask when I'm dating is, what values do you look for in a man? Now, obviously, I'm not going to ask a woman who claims to only be looking for friends this question. I'm not going to be asking a woman who's inexperienced this question. I'm going to be asking a woman who is experienced, who claims to be intentional, whether it's dating for a relationship or marriage. And that's it. That aligns with what I'm looking for personally. So this doesn't have to apply to all of you. But I will ask a woman, so what type of values do you look for in a man? And sometimes a woman already knows that answer. And sometimes she'll say, what do you mean? Or, that's a good question. I've even had a woman tell me, dang, that's kind of a deep question. So by me asking questions based on that woman's response, I'm going to know what her intentions are. A woman who is hyper focused on finding a good lifetime partner, she has sat down with herself. She has maybe even journaled, has a vision board, manifestation things going on where she knows exactly what she wants. That's the kind of woman that I want. I want a woman that knows what she wants. So when I ask her questions, she's going to know what the answer is. Versus a woman that says, good hygiene and a bunch of superficial stuff. I'm going to know this woman has never even considered what she wants long term, regardless of what her profile may say or regardless of what she says to me. You know what I'm saying? So when you ask more questions, more probing questions in the vetting stage, it helps you, regardless of what she told you, to be able to compartmentalize her and say, okay, cool, she's capped. Okay, cool, she's realistic. She's looking for something. And then even there's still going to be women that are good at answering questions. That's irrelevant. Okay, I understand there's a lot of men who are discouraged and ready to quit and give up on dating because 99% of women ain't this and 99% of women don't like good guys and good guys finish last and polygamy going on and women that's turning to acting like guys nowadays where they want they want a roster, you know what I'm saying? And then you got entitlement issues where women want you to pay all their bills before you even know their name. You know what I'm saying? They don't want to give you their phone number unless you got money or appear to have money. So you got men out here also messing up the game, who are leading with their money, who got the chains all out. You know what I'm saying? And like, they approach a woman trying to look draped up and dripped out, you know what I'm saying? So that they can cut the line, and their intentions aren't even pure. They just want to hump on something. You know what I'm saying? So they leave with money just so they can get in and get out. And then women is like, oh man, I can't trust no guys and all of this good stuff. And now they think 99% of men ain't this and ain't that. It's a mess. But ultimately, I feel like if you're not going to be one of these guys who say, I quit, and you feel like there's something potentially out there for you, vetting a woman and asking her questions and figuring out where she stands intentionally, maybe even intellectually, is very important. I have numerous videos where I discuss questions that you can ask a woman. I'm not the only one on the internet that has these type of questions or, advice on how to, vet a woman. But if you like my opinion and you like my take and my perspectives, I have videos on them. I'm going to continue to do videos, on them. And, it's going to be, I'm still single. It's going to be a journey, and in closing, I've been single since I raised my standards. When I didn't have standards and I didn't value myself enough to lead with my standards, I racked up a body count. And then now that I have standards and I'm looking for something specific, I get ghosted by women who feel threatened, who know, all right, I'm not going to be able to extract what I'm looking to extract from this guy. And they got the gift of gab, they got the cap. They know how to say exactly what they think I want to hear. But then when it boils down to it, I appear to be more than just a simple challenge. Because you got to remember, you telling the woman what you not gonna tolerate, what you ain't gonna do, what you looking for, all that stuff like that. You have to keep in mind that these modern women, that's not a deterrent. That's not gonna make them stop. That's not gonna make them run. Not in all cases. There's gonna be some women who are gonna look at what you said as a challenge and say, you ain't paying nobody's bills yet. You haven't been a trick yet. And she's confident that she's going to be the one to change your life. Okay? Well, if you like this video, if it resonates with you, if you have any comments and maybe a different type of data that's out there in the dating pool that you've experienced, leave them in the comments for the rest of us to read. If you're new to my channel, my name is Jerome, and this has been yet another episode of The Superb Word. Until next time, y'all, 2 fingers. All right.